Do you think Cancer Cup will be easier than Gemini Cup? Unfortunately, the answer is no. If we're talking about time investment, Cancer Cup will actually take much more. Why? The reason is, Taurus Cup or Gemini Cup are relatively long race, so there's room for the buffer, which means you usually can train one less UMA, but the Cancer Cup is only 1600 meter long, so you will have to train 3 ace. Already made it harder, and it's also make room for a bunch of different strategies, like to frontrunner with one end closer, front denier with place El Pasa, to less searcher gambler. So, which strategy is best? Which one will save you the most time? Let's break it down together in this video, shall we? First of all, some basic knowledge for Cancer Cup. If you already know all of it, then you can just skip to the strategy part. Like other cup, you will know immediately what green skill you will need, right? As you can see here. But this cup pays attention to front runner savvy as well, because you will need at least 3 green skill to activate groundwork. And if you don't know, then groundwork is the best skill for frontrunner to take the lead early in the race. Next is the racetrack. Actually, we only need to care about the last part, which is here. The interesting thing about this is this little part here is the last part of the final corner, and from here is a straight. So basically, in Cancer Cup, you can use both corner acceleration skill here, and the straight acceleration skill will also be pretty effective. For corner acceleration, then angling and shimming of Sion Sky is the best skill, because it's always activate at the perfect time here, and give you a ton of advantage over your opponent. The only problem is only one horse, which is the first place horse, can activate this, and this thing actually create the block cushion strategy that we will talk about later in the video. For the straight acceleration, then you can use Victoria Paul Plancha for frontrunner, page chaser, and straight away spurt for encloser. This obviously make Narita Taishin and Crouching Shadow become OP in the race. One more thing to pay attention to is the stat threshold. This is actually a hidden mechanic. Basically, you will get a speed bonus with your stamina and guts stat. So you kind of like 301 or 601 stat to get a little bit more bonus. And your mood also affect this. So if you want more consistencies on the first few rounds, then you will have to have higher stat. But overall, I think you don't have to care about it too much. Just have like 301, 601, because the final race, which is the most important race, you will always have the highest mood anyway. With that in mind, the start need for Cancer Cup is max speed, more than 600 stamina, and more than 300 wit. You will need as much power as you can, and also you will need higher wit than the previous cup. Next, we will talk about some popular kind of horse that will appear in the Cancer Cup. First of all, it's for sure frontrunner. Before Sion Sky was out, the only good thing of frontrunner is that they always in front, they do not get blocked, but they really lack acceleration skill. But after Sion Sky, they had like the most OP acceleration in the game. You can see in this table here. This table will get generated from the UMA race simulator here. You can see the minimum, the maximum, and the average length gain from the skill. And as you can see, angling and shimming average double the length compared to Victoria Paul Plancha. And it's basically just like really consistent. You can also use this table to know which skill is good for frontrunner. As you can see here is like groundwork, speed eater, etc. So this is a quick explanation how frontrunner gonna win. Like early race, you will try to activate groundwork, try to get a lead. Mid race, you try to activate bunch of mid race skill to stay in first play. And when the last bird come, you just activate angling and shimming and more, and then you win. Easy. Next, you're not gonna see much pay chaser in Cancer Cup, because as you can see here, like only Victoria Paul Plancha is average good length. Just don't care about no stopping me. I don't know why the simulator like this skill, but it's not good. So you're not gonna see many page chaser except for Kodopasa. Next, you can see many late surger. And basically, late surger is just gambler. Why? Because except for let's pump some iron, major rank skill, which is really consistent, as you can see the minimum maximum here. Late surger had two really good skill, which is Furious Feet and on your left. But the problem is there is almost no consistent at all. If you're unlucky, your minimum rank gain is like 0.2. But if you're lucky, you get 6.8 rank. Same with on your left. So basically for leisure gambler, you just stack as many acceleration as possible and you just pray. But why less gambler is really strong is that if you got a weaker horse, right? And somehow you active both Furious Feet and on your left at the perfect time, yeah, you gain like 11 length, which I think you just win the race. Even if you have to race like a really strong front runner or something. All the skill of Laser is also kind of gambling because Let's Pump Some Iron require you a 6th place to activate as well. Redshift, you have to be from 3 to 5. Yeah, for Enclosure, everything is kind of like Gemini Cup. With a straightaway spurt, give you like 1.3 length. For Narita Taishin, she can double that amount. You can also stack Furious Feet here to gamble a bit, but still Leisure is kind of really consistent because they get higher chance to activate Let's Pump Some Iron. And the last type hold you're gonna see is Front Denial. Basically, it's just a strategy to deny front runner from activate angling and shimming. Front Denial is the host that trying to take first place from all the front runner. Up until this point, after the last part of the corner, angling and screaming cannot activate anymore, so your front denier just finish their mission. And in order to do that, this is kind of stat that your front denier need. You don't need a lot of speed, just enough to win your race finale. Because speed only affects your UMA after the last spurt, you will need a lot of power because power increase your acceleration and also your uphill speed. Width will increase your speed throughout the race, so you need a lot of width as well. You don't even need mount S. Instead, we kind of want front S to increase our skill activation chance. And about skill, basically, front denial also work kind of like front runner. You will need 3 green to activate groundwork in the early race, and you will need bunch of mid-race skill. The only thing is that you don't care about last burst skill and put more point on the mid-race skill. That's it. The only problem is that it still require decent effort. It's not as easy as a debuffer like the previous cup. Next is some tier list. I found the tier list is pretty accurate. The strongest UMA for sure is gonna be Seven Sky as a frontrunner. El Kodopasa as a frontrunner is really strong too, but the only thing is she's really hard to build as a frontrunner. Narita Taishin is really strong because she's really consistent as well. Next is Grass Wonder and Grove City as a list gambler because they have on your left, and you can get Furious Feet from the Overgree power card, so they kind of like stronger than other late gambler. Next is other enclosure, not as strong as Narita Taishin because they only have Stairway Spurt. Yeah. That is some front denier that you can use. I add Alcodo Pasa, add a page chaser here because I also think she's consistently strong, and because of one more reason that we will find out in the strategy part of the video. Now to the most important part of the video, strategies. I have watched a lot of Cancer Cup guide, but most of them only evaluate each individual UMA rather than put them into a team. This makes choosing your team become quite confusing. That's why I make this part. So I myself and you guys can see the strength and weaknesses of each UMA team composition. Therefore, make the best choice for ourselves. Let's start with the strongest strategy. Two front, and a less surger or enclosure. So we will evaluate each composition based on their consistencies, their peak performance, number of ace, for sure chaining difficulties, and whether or not they get countered by a front blocker, front denier. With two frontrunner, I think most of the time one of your frontrunner gonna perform. So the consistency is really high, and their peak performance I think is the best for sure because frontrunner for sure is the strongest. And if somehow your late surger outperform your frontrunner, then for sure the pick is even higher. That's why the pick is maximum here. And if you decide to swap your late surger with an enclosure, then your peak performance will decrease, but your consistent will increase. And this strat is 3 ace, of course. But the downside of this strategy is that really high training difficulty. One front is hard to train, and you train two front runner. It's gonna be even harder, and you cannot even share your front runner parent if you have a Sion Sky as your Uma, because your other front runner like Daiwa gonna need Sion Sky unique, right? So you have to train at least one more Sion Sky Legacy for your other front runner, and you have to train parents for your late surger or enclosure. So basically, it is the highest reward and highest effort strategy, and also it's the strategy that get countered by a front blocker the most. If you meet a really strong front blocker, then the chance for your two front to win is much lower. So you will have to depend on your late surger or your enclosure to win the race. Example lineup is like here. So when should you use this strat? For sure, if you have a lot of time to train, if you have Sion Sky, if your favorite Uma fit the strat, if you have the Narita Taishin as well, then you should use her as enclosure. And if you really want to win Cancer Cup, for sure. Next strat is one front runner with two late surger or one enclosure. For sure, with this strat, your consistencies will go down quite a lot, but your peak performance gonna be really high because for sure you have two late surger. If one of them perform, they will be as strong as a front runner. But if you want more consistency, you can replace one late surger with your Narita Taishin to get more consistent and less pick. Is fine. You still have three A's, and for this strat, the training difficulty is a bit lower because you only have to train one front runner. Your two late surger can share parent, late surger and enclosure. They can share parent as well. But there's a new problem: is less furious feed activation. So why is that? I learned this from Earthy. So if you pay attention, furious feed only activate if you are in the second half of the pack. That means out of 9 Uma, only 4 can activate this. So, for example, if everyone bring one enclosure, one late surger, and one front runner, right? Only 4 of this Uma will activate Fierce Feed. And with this strat, we bring 2 late surger, right? So one of them is less likely to activate Furious Feed, which heavily affect the peak performance. You bring less surger and enclosure, then for sure your less surger will get affected by this. Okay. Knowing this brings us to the next strat, which is one frontrunner with 2 enclosure. This is for sure the most consistent strategy because you have 2 enclosure, always gonna perform. If your frontrunner do not get blocked, get first place, she gonna perform as well. The only problem is that the peak performance is always coming from the front runner. Your enclosure most of the time gonna be the same. They gonna lose to the last surger if the high roll. And the problem of the previous strategy become the advantage for this strategy, which is less fear feed activation for your opponent. With 2 enclosure, for sure they're gonna be in the back. So less surger will have less chance to activate Furious Feed. Like here, like 2 less surger cannot do it, right? So this strat is counter all the less surger gambler. The other con is the same as 1 front and 2 less surger. Example lineup you can see here. Next is 1 front denial with 2 less surger. For sure, with this strat, your consistencies will not be high. Your pick will be pretty high still. But if you run an enclosure, then for sure, let's pick higher consistencies. And now you can block all the frontrunner. Is the pros, right? The chaining difficulty is lower for sure because a front denial is easier to chain than a frontrunner. Your two listener or enclosure can share the same parent. So I think this is the strat that saves the most time. So maybe this have to go in pros, but yeah, this is easier to follow. For sure, less fear feeds the activation with two listener. And now you only had two aces. Less chance to win. So when should you use one frontrunner with two listener or enclosure? If you have decent time to chain for sure. If you don't want to get countered by a front blocker, if you want to gamble for sure, and if you think that your account cannot train like A plus S Uma, you can only maybe train Ace Uma, then maybe this strat is with you, so you will still have the chance to win the final. For sure, if you have this line up like Narita Taishin, Grass Wonder, Sion Sky, this strat is also good for you. When to use one front with two enclosure, for sure, I think if you have Narita Taishin and you don't have all the literature, I think this strat is really good. If you want to deny all the gambler, then this strat is good too. If you have decent amount of time to train, you have Sion Sky. So when to use this strat? If you don't have much time, for sure, then this strat you only have to like train a decent parent and some more time to invest in your like blocker chain. Your listener enclosure can share parent and does not require as much time as a frontrunner as well. Last strategy that we talk about is gonna be front denial with pace Akropasa and one listener or enclosure. The pro of this strat is also consistencies. Your pasa always gonna perform the same, not gambling anything. If you run a laser joe, you got higher pick. If you run enclosure, this also the strat that got the highest consistencies as well. You can block people. The only problem is that, yeah, the pick of this strat is not that high. Technically, you have to pray that your blocker successfully block the enemy front runner. And the training difficulty for this strat is kind of high too, because you need front blocker parent, train front blocker, pasa parent, train pasa as well, and your listener enclosure parent. And still you only have two A's. But because running pasa as a pay chaser, then you don't have to care about one of your listener not activate furious feed. So when to use this strategy? When you don't have Sion Sky, when you don't want to gamble that much, and you only have like decent amount of time, then this strategy is also work for you. Last thing is some strategy I think you guys should avoid. First of all is free front runner. Why? Because it's really time consuming. It take a lot of effort to train 3 front runner, and you may still get blocked by a good front denial. And even if you don't get blocked, right, only one of your front runner gonna activate angling and shimming. So the two other front is kind of weak, and still your only front can lose to like a lesser. Basically, you should not put all your egg in one basket. Yeah. Next, if you don't run any front runner, instead run a pay chaser and hoping that no one will run front runner, I think this realistically not gonna happen ever. Even if your pay is pasa, this is still like not good. Technically you can run a front runner with pasa and one list enclosure, but then your pasa is always gonna get outperformed by your front runner. So what is the point of running this strategy, right? Last is running like all listener or enclosure. The problem is if you do not have like front denial, then your enclosure most of the time never gonna outperform the opponent front runner. With a lot of laser, you can outperform front runner, but then you compete to activate furious feed yourself, so you lower your chance to win. Anyways, Okay, last is some tip for the Cancer Cup. Legacy for frontrunner. This should be your Pasa legacy, not pace, because like Pasa is the only pace that good DCM. Leicester legacy for sure. Major Orion is the most important one. Order you can add in. I just add in Fantasy Pasa because she just out. And closer legacy is almost the same. For Spock, I think stamina is the best, but you can still use speed or power as long as they have ping Mao and good Y skill. Down here is some race that you should pay attention when you train the legacy parent. Example parent decks, I think universal and green you guys already know. For groundwork, then the SR A group card is the best because it's only 1 out of 6 to get groundwork compared to other cards. This for leisure and closer, I think Hishi Amazon is better than Gold Ship card. Also because of chance to get straightaway spurt. So from this card, you can build like example parent deck like this. Page chaser parent deck, you only care about green skill, so you can also use this deck, but do not use groundwork card. Example ace deck, front blocker, you just need 2 power card, prefer this one, these two, 1 speed card and 3 wit. If you don't have this 2 card for left-handed and spring runner, it's fine, you can replace with other card. Front runner ace deck is 4 speed and 2 good power card. Let's show you the upper deck is for Grass Wander, Gold City to get Furious Feet. The lower one is for Fantasy Pasa and Vote card to get on your left. Yeah. And closer is for speed card with power card that give you straightaway spurt. And some end closer skill. And that's about it. It is the end of the strategy / Cancer Cup guide. It takes a lot of effort to make all of this as a non-English native speaker. So smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, please. If you guys have any question or any detail want to add to the guide, then you guys can just comment down below. Also, big shout out to Rosie because of her amazing rep dog and amazing Cancer Cup video. You guys can also check it out. I will put the ref dog and Rosie channel link in the description of the video. Bye bye and see you guys in the next one.